Greetings and welcome to AmaWaterways' first ever virtual celebration honoring International Women's Day.
Or, as we say it in Russian, сегодня мы отмечаем Международный женский день.
Y, como decimos en español, felicidades por el Día Internacional de la Mujer. My name is Janet Bava, and I have the honor of being AmaWaterways' first female Chief Marketing Officer.
And my name is Sonia Maslovskaya, and I'm AmaWaterways' virtual events producer. Today we have a live and interactive event, and we'd love your participation. We have a team of talented multilingual moderators who are looking forward to responding to you in real time.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you our female fearless leader, godmother of our most awarded ship, the Ama Christina, most recently named Top Women in Travel and Hospitality, as well as Top 100 Female Founders by Inc. magazine, to name a few. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christine Karst.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and thank you so much, Janet and Sonia. It is such a pleasure to have our special International Women's Day Sip and Sail Hour today. And our travel agent, travel advisor partners, and all our guests, we are so grateful that you are joining us tonight. So we do have 6 very exciting guests with us today. And I will do some brief introductions now, but we will get to know them much better during the next hour. So first up is Samantha Brown. Samantha, you are a familiar face to many, many. And not only are you an Emmy Award-winning TV host of your top-ranked PBS travel show, Places to Love, you are also the esteemed godmother of our Ama Magna, a ship as unique as her godmother. So, Samantha, so glad to have you. And our next guest today is Joanne Weir. Joanne, so great to have you. You are a celebrated chef, a James Beard Award-winning cookbook author, and executive producer and host of your own PBS show, Places and Plates, which have been proudly sponsored by AmaWaterways for the last 4 years. Thank you so much for being here with us. And representing our travel advisor partners, we are thrilled to have Margaret Jorgen here with us. Margie is Vice President of CCRA International's True Global Network, an organization of 3,000 travel agencies. Margie is also an advisory board member with Travel Unity. This is a nonprofit organization focused on increasing diversity in the world of travel. Wonderful to have you, Margie. And all of you, I was fortunate enough to get to know during my last few years, either on board our ships or during conferences or any other gatherings. So now our valued guests are represented today by Cassie Dowling, who is a passionate solo traveler and a very loyal AmaWaterways guest, having joined us on 14 cruises. And the last cruise actually was on board Ama Serena. That was the New Year's cruise along the Rhine River, where Rudy and I had the pleasure to sail together with you, Cassie.
It's wonderful.
It was. And I know that you do a lot of volunteer work with the Greater Atlanta United Way as a community advocate for child well-being. And you also serve on the Women United Cabinet, which celebrates women around the world. And one thing personal, I think I can share. You were always the first one in our wellness session every morning and the last one to leave. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Christine.
And we are always so happy to have our cruise managers join us, particularly as it is getting very late for them over in Europe. So Agnes Riley was born in Hungary with a passion for travel. Agnes, you started working for AmaWaterways as a local host in 2016 in diverse locations in Europe, and later you became a cruise manager. I know you especially love Central Europe and the Far East, but today you are joining us from Budapest in Hungary. Thanks for being here with us, Agnes.
My pleasure.
And also joining us today is our cruise manager, Vanessa Jorgen. Vanessa was born in Novi Sad in Serbia, where she also completed her master's degree in tourism and hospitality management. Vanessa is multilingual. She speaks her native Serbian, but also English, Spanish, and Vanessa is joining us today from her hometown, the city of Novi Sad in Serbia. Thank you so much for joining us for this special celebration today.
A pleasure to be here among these great women.
Yeah, now March 8 has become a global day for celebrating the achievements of women and also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity to realize a more equal, more inclusive, and more sustainable future. Growing up in East Germany, I remember celebrating this very special day at school. We picked bouquets of wildflowers, created cards and pictures as tokens of appreciation for our moms, for our teachers, and all the special women in our life. Now, the first National Women's Day was actually observed in 1909 in the United States, but the idea of an International Women's Day was created a year later by Clara Zetkin, who was the German delegate at the International Conference of Working Women held in Copenhagen in 1910. The following year, more than 1 million women and men throughout Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland attended rallies campaigning for women's rights to work, vote, be trained, and end discrimination. The tradition of celebrating this day continued in Europe and eventually spread around the world. 2020 was a year marked with great challenges and also a year of great opportunities. Despite the barriers, women, especially young women, are at the forefront of diverse and inclusive movements for social change. There is still much work to be done to encourage all forms of diversity, as we know that more inclusive leadership and representation leads to stronger democracies, better economics, and more peaceful societies. And in our tradition of Sip and Sail events, we always like to start with the toast. But before we do, I would like to ask all our guests to share what they have in their glass. So let's get started. Samantha, what do you have in your glass?
It's a very big glass of wine. I have a lovely Italian Argiolas, a Vermentino.
Sounds very delicious. And Joanne, what do you drink today?
I have a Gruner Veltliner from the Wachau Valley in celebration of the Danube.
My favorite wine from the Danube, my favorite white, I need to say. And Margie, what do you have?
So I have a rosé, a Sasso Regale rosé from the in southern region in Tuscany.
That sounds just absolutely divine. Now, Cassie, what is in your glass today?
I have from Cologne a Kosh Beer.
Nice.
Personally,
Nice.
I had to have this.
And actually, the women are empowered now even more to have a beer too, right?
That's right. Especially if you're Irish. Yes.
So good. And Alex, what is in your glass today?
Well, I'm a little greedy tonight, as it's night in Hungary, and I prepared, as I'm wearing my Hungarian traditional outfit on, the traditional Hungarian palinka, but I just thought I keep it for later because I'm afraid if I would drink this, I would roll off the chair, because a traditional proper Hungarian palinka should contain at least 52% of alcohol. So I just keep this later. And I would like to say cheers to you with my Hungarian wine from my favorite wine region from Hungary, which is called Tokaj. And this is a Furmint sparkling wine.
Very nice. And egészségedre to you, Agnes.
Egészségedre to you.
And Vanessa, please share with us what is your favorite drink, at least today.
So for today, I chose white wine, which might not be so light, with about 16% alcohol, but this is the traditional Bermet wine that is native to the region where I am right now. It's from here, the slopes of the National Park of Fruška Gora, and we consider it medicine. So cheers to that.
That's wonderful. And you see, we discover always so much. There is so much wine in your own area in around Novi Sad. And for me today, it is my favorite red wine from Austria, the Blaufränkischer. And of course, you can drink it on board. You can drink it as part of your shore excursions when you come with us. And my toasts usually start off with a quote. And since this year's International Women's Day has the hashtag Choose the Challenge, I choose this quote from Michelle Obama. You should never view your challenges as a disadvantage. Instead, it's important for you to understand that your experience facing and overcoming adversity is actually one of your biggest advantages. So our first toast is to all the women who are turning challenges into advantages. Cheers to all of you.
Cheers.
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 Very nice. So now I also have a challenge for our audiences. If you're watching us live, please share in the comments if there was a woman in your life who ignited your passion for travel. It could be a famous person, it could be your friend or a family member. Like for me, it was my mom, or somebody inspirational you met during your travels. We will select a winner and announce them at the end. And now, Samantha, your story of breaking into the travel and television industry and finding your voice is so inspiring. And you probably had to overcome some challenges along the way. Could I ask you to share some of your lessons that you have learned?
Oh, sure. Thank you very much for having me first, Christine, especially with all these great women, and thank you for allowing me to have a little drink before I get to into this, because you need to loosen up when you talk about some of the challenges. But so I've been doing this for 22 years, and when I first got the job to host a travel show, I had never traveled before. I had no idea what I was doing. I was in New York City to pursue acting, and I was waiting on tables for possibly my 9th year, and I got the job. And at first I thought my job was to be a travel expert. So I really failed miserably at that job, and I was very uncomfortable in it. And I didn't think I wanted to travel anymore. I thought I don't like travel because I just didn't enjoy what I was doing. And then we went to Latin America to shoot a travel series there. And I didn't have all the pressure I felt in Europe to be that travel expert, the one that I had seen so much on television. And I just relaxed into being myself with people there as they were that day. And I was just more in the moment. And I took that as what I wanted to do going forward, is really being with people in their everyday lives which were totally extraordinary. And I was no longer the expert. I was just the person who was able to have this great experience that hopefully people were following me and enjoying as well. And so I kind of found my own sense of self in the challenge of trying to be someone else. I found where I really wanted to be, that I actually loved to travel, but I didn't like the whole, must-sees and do's and don'ts of travel, and you have to do this, and here are the top 5s. I really enjoyed meeting people and really understanding their story and how we could support them and small businesses and restaurants and artisans and artists through travel, how travel is such a conduit to understanding each other and appreciating one another, even if we don't have a common language. And so that was a huge challenge, going from someone, the role I thought I was supposed to do, which was to be a travel expert and know exactly what I was doing, and just really lightening up and finding that voice of understanding that I didn't have to know it all. And I guess, I know a lot of this is about advice as well to people who want to do our jobs, right? Everyone wants to travel. And that is to really find your voice and not look at me as someone who you should emulate. Don't look at someone else, be yourself, and really find your passion through that. And I would also say, don't try to be perfect, because that was where I went wrong. I thought I had to be perfect at something to do something. And that's really wrong. You should just go for it, and you'll make mistakes along the way. I made plenty of mistakes, but in the hindsight, I was a person who people could relate to, and that became really who I was. People saw, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. She's not the expert, and there she is. So let me do what she's doing. So that idea of really not waiting to be perfect to do something, just go for it. And through there, and here I had this job to travel the world, and I didn't want that job anymore. It was only when I found how I wanted to be within travel that I loved it. And that's where I found my passion. So that's why you have to go for it and take big risks, because you're not going to have these moments where people say, hey, you're perfect at that. You're not perfect at that. And you still have to go through it anyway. And from there, you find, oh, that's where I love this. This is where my passion is, just being with people in their everyday lives. And so passion is absolutely imperative when it comes to doing what you want to do and really going for things, but it's not perfect. Don't go for perfection, go for passion.
I love what you said, and that's what we said before. We don't want to be perfect, because we want to be authentic, and that is the key today. Absolutely. And I know there are so many young women listening in today, and they are just really, they want all your advice and the advice of all the strong women we have here today. So passion is such a powerful word, and coupled with curiosity, it becomes a driving force behind what we do with our lives. Joanne, passion has been an important part in forming your career. Plus, I heard that you received the inaugural award for outstanding passion during the Taste Awards. Can you share with us what that means to you?
Absolutely. It's so funny. For years, on my desk in front of me, I have this little piece of paper that's taped to my desk, and I see it every day. And it says, passion keeps me realizing my possibilities. And when you think about it, passion and love, they really go hand in hand. And I love my work. I love food. I love wine. I love to travel, and I love cooking. And one of my favorite things that I like to do is I love to spend the whole day cooking and make a really special dinner. And then I love to invite people to come for the evening, have friends and family around the table, sharing a wonderful dinner, kind of laughing and talking and enjoying themselves. Because I love people, and I love nurturing them. But I don't think that I am unique, really, because I believe that sharing this passion for nurturing is something that is a gift that all of us women have. And sharing all of this love has really empowered me.
That is absolutely wonderful. And I know whoever travels with you has so much fun. And I think this picture was done in our specialty restaurant, right? Where we serve our fine tasting menu.
Exactly.
Now, Margie, I would like to ask you how curiosity has influenced your success in the travel industry.
So when I was growing up, we didn't really have a whole lot of international travel happening in our family. Our family wasn't really financially able to travel international. I don't even think anyone had a passport, to be honest. We did a lot of road trips. We traveled all over the US in a car, and we saw what we could see, you know, from that perspective. And those were always enjoyable. But there was always that tiny little part of me that wondered what life was like somewhere else beside where I was or where we had traveled to as a family. So I was always dreaming. I'm a dreamer, you know, by nature and an explorer at heart. So I was always dreaming of where I could go, what I could see, what I could do. But we just didn't have those influences in our house growing up. So it was really kind of a leap for me to just get out there and see, you know, what was out there, what the world was like, how other people lived, experience other cultures. And it's fueled my travel from that time till this.
That's so wonderful. Now, Margie, I also know one of the things you have been passionate about is advocating for more diversity in the travel industry. Is there anything that you think we should all be doing to contribute to this important mission?
Absolutely. It definitely is a passion of mine. Seeing more diversity in our industry is hugely important. So in terms of things that we can do to help and push that initiative a little bit forward, or things like becoming an ally and supporting those initiatives, and not just supporting, but doing some action, passing along opportunities to women and people of color. Supporting and sharing those things are very important. Educating ourselves on the issues that might affect us and anybody in that range, diversity, whether it be women or whether it be sexual preference or any other type of diversity, accessibility issues as well. Educating ourselves is hugely important, but I think the biggest thing we could do at this point is become allies and keep the conversation going and support those opportunities and pass those along to people of color.
That is well said. Thank you so much. Now, we all know travel is the force of good in the world. It breaks down cultural barriers, it challenges the status quo, and it creates possibilities. Growing up in Eastern Germany, I am very thankful for the travel opportunities that my parents gave to my brother and I. Most of these trips started in Eastern European countries, which explains why the celebration of Women's Day is quite nostalgic for me. Now, Agnes, can you share some of your memories of how Women's Day was celebrated when you were growing up in Hungary?
Yeah, of course, I would love to, Christine. Well, first of all, I would love to wish a very happy Women's Day to everyone who are with us now. And, you know, I'm very proud to be a woman. I'm very proud to be a mother, and I'm extremely proud to be part of AmaWaterways. And I'm really grateful for AmaWaterways for providing us female cruise managers for the excellent working atmosphere. Because, you know, once we step foot on board on any of our river vessels, it's just definitely the perfect place to be. And that's where I would say equality and appreciation for women are truly existing. And regarding my childhood and celebrating here in Hungary Women's Day, I have lovely memories because, you know, when I was growing up and when I was born, Hungary was still under communism. But I would say ever since the change, ever since 1989, the celebration here in Hungary are no longer politically motivated, for it's more to do with the appreciation of women and their role of society, you know. So it's really nice to celebrate Women's Day. And I have lovely memories from my childhood when my father and my grandfather just surprised us with a very small bouquet of snowdrops. And they surprised me and my mother and my grandmother as well. And just a small bouquet of snowdrops, and it was really wonderful experience, and I can just remember that all the time. But unfortunately, snowdrops have been just protected flowers ever since. I was gonna actually pick you some because I know it's a little difficult to find them in the US, and they are supposedly the messenger of spring. And it was just a nice feeling to receive them, you know, after the winter, beginning of the spring. And because of this special occasion, because of celebrating Women's Day, I decided to put my traditional Hungarian outfit on. And if I'm allowed to, I would love to stand up quickly and just turn around to show you what I wear.
Oh.
So this is
Wow.
it.
It's a beautiful dress.
It's
Look at all these.
pretty.
Beautiful, beautiful, Agnes. I think your dress comes from Kaloshka, the Mohacs area, right? Isn't this?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it is. That is where it comes from. And before I quickly, let me just mention about my dress, because a part of it being beautiful, actually, it's really, really close to my heart, very important for me, because I inherited this dress from my grandma, and she inherited it from my great-grandmother. So it's belonging to my family for a long time. And whenever I go on a cruise, doesn't matter which cruise I go onto, I make sure that I bring this beautiful dress with me. And on one special night, I put this on and I surprise our guests with wearing it. And of course, I'm also dancing for the guests, and they all love it. We have a wonderful evening. And I also have a bottle what I put on my head, because that's part of the deal, of course, you know, makes it more fun. And as you mentioned, this dress comes from Kalocsy, where the most important ingredient of the Hungarian goulash is coming from, which is, of course, the great and famous Hungarian red paprika. And that is related to our Gems of Southeast Europe cruise, because this Kalocsy region is very close to Mohacs, which is our first port of call once we depart in Budapest. And now our moderators are going to share the goulash recipe with you, which is, I must admit, my husband's favorite.
Okay, so this is Joanne doing the goulash. All right. Okay, and then I just saw already the map of our Gems of Southeast Europe itinerary. This is the Lower Danube, starting in Budapest, going through the southern part of Hungary, and then coming to countries like Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria. And while we are on the Lower Danube, I would like to ask Vanessa, who was born in Novi Sad in Serbia, to tell us all about the tradition of celebrating Women's Day in your part of Europe. And what was it like growing up in your area, Vanessa?
Thank you for the question, Christine. Well, yes, first of all, I am here in Novi Sad in Serbia right now. You know, Novi Sad has been declared the European Capital of Culture in 2021, so we are very happy about that. And, you know, growing up here in school, as a class, what we would do, for example, for our female teachers, we would give them flowers, we would make a special card signed by everyone, of course. And then leading up to Women's Day, we would prepare some things in arts and crafts for our mothers, our grandmothers, sisters, whoever has female relatives, basically, to kind of honor them. And this was very special to me to do something because, you know, as a child, you really don't have a lot of money to go out there and buy something. So you had to make something and give it to the women that you respect. And being brought up by on my own, like on her own by my mom, this was a very, very special thing to prepare. It was only in high school that we started seeing the little bit of the other side of Women's Day. And we started realizing that it's about women's rights and that women didn't always have the rights they have today, that some still don't have them today. And that was kind of sobering. So talking about Novi Sad, and everything, I'm very happy that I grew up here. Besides the fact that it's a beautiful city on the Danube with a stunning fortress, the most beautiful sunsets, and a gorgeous old town, the national park is just a stone's throw away. People rarely know that Novi Sad is actually the capital of the region of Vojvodina, which is very diverse. We really are proud of the 26 ethnic groups that live here and the 6 languages that are in use by the provincial administration. This is something really rare because we are in distance so close to our neighbors, Romania, Croatia, Hungary as well, Bosnia. We are used to living together and embracing the differences, learning from each other, learning from our past, and just making the present and future better. So it was thanks to these diverse settings, and just understanding and empowering women was always a huge, huge topic in my surroundings. So after a while, 8th of March became a day to honor all the women before us because they paved the way for us to be this free and happy right now. And to realize that, in fact, every day should be Women's Day, where we just value, respect, and uplift each other to be the best we can be,
That is so nicely said. And I'm sure that, this morning you probably were with your mom and you gave her some flowers again and just celebrated a little bit this special day together with her. Very, very nice. Now, Vanessa, you have been with us for a couple of years. Tell us, what are some of your favorite ports all along the river?
Well, one of the ports that I'm always happy to go back to is definitely Vienna. Vienna is very well known. It's quite a popular destination on our Upper Danube cruise, the capital of Austria, and absolutely perfect to visit in all seasons. I always fondly remember seeing the New Year's fireworks from the ship and sailing into the new year. However, the city itself has this beautiful imperial charm that no one can deny. And no matter if you're sipping a Viennese coffee like a local, touring the city sites, or attending the evening Mozart and Strauss concert, you can't get bored because there's just so many things to do. During the day, my favorite places to be are the Hofburg, which you can't miss on our city tour, and the Schönbrunn Palace. And curiously, these 2 places have a very tight connection to one of the most powerful rulers of Europe, and nonetheless a woman, Maria Theresa, the only female ruler of the Habsburg monarchy, who ruled for 40 years over Austria, Hungary, Bohemia, Transylvania, and many, many more regions in Europe. And in the 18th century, she occupied the Hofburg Palace. However, the Schönbrunn was Maria Theresa's life work, and she wanted to make it her residence. The Schönbrunn became a monument to the great empress, how they call her. And now it's regarded as the summer palace of the Habsburgs, where you can see different rooms, enjoy the stunning gardens, and actually the inner court becomes a Christmas market in winter. Meanwhile, at Hofburg, you can see the Spanish riding school with the famous white Lipizzaner horses, the Imperial Library, and the stunning Imperial Treasury with the crown jewels.
It's a gorgeous city. It's also the birthplace of Rudi Schreiner, president of AmaWaterways, right? He was in Vienna on the banks of the Danube, but an absolutely wonderful, wonderful city. Now, Samantha, I hear that you had some memorable experiences in Vienna, trying on some royal jewels. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yes, this was such a thrill. So I'm in the showroom of A.E. Kolchert, which they are the official, a jeweler to the imperial court for 200 years. So they were given access to the emperor and the empress and the princesses and everyone in the court. And if they wanted jewels, these were the people who made the crowns. They also made Empress Elizabeth, also known as Sissy, more affectionately, her famous stars. So I'm with the great-great-great-grandson, Christoph Koschert, right there, and he has placed a crown on my head of a princess. He wouldn't tell me who, but they have gone back and they've gotten all their jewelry from the past and they keep them. And this is so great. If there are still Habsburgs left in this world, and if they want to go to a ball and use their jewelry, they come and they borrow it from this jeweler. So that's why they have it. That's why it's on my head. But if a certain princess, former princess, wants to come and borrow it for a ball, that's where the family jewels are kept. So a really great moment to actually have a real crown placed on your head. But it wasn't an empress crown, it was a princess crown.
Well, but we know that these royal jewels are very, very fitting, since you are considered to be royalty at AmaWaterways. As you the godmother of our spectacular ship, the Ama Magna. So, and this was a great honor for us, and we actually have a short video where you are touring the Ama Magna. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Samantha Brown, and I travel all over the world connecting with places and people. And there's someone I'd like you to meet. She is very important to me. There is nothing like her in the world. It's the Ama Magna. I'm going to be taking you on a personal tour of this state-of-the-art, one-of-a-kind vessel that is truly the most magnificent ship sailing on a European river, or any river for that matter, in the world. Now, I may be a little biased because I am the vessel's godmother.
I name this ship Ama Magna. May God bless and protect her and all those who sail upon her.
Just a little proud, but hey, don't take my word for it. Let me take you on a personal tour so you can see for yourself. I think overall what makes the Ama Magna experience so unique is that she offers amenities known on larger cruise ships, but in a more personal, intimate setting. And I know what you're thinking. She said the word intimate, and that means small. Call that small?
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful. And I know the Ama Magna is also going to Budapest. Now, Agnes, when we talk about Budapest, I mean, tell us about your home city, please.
Well, of course, when we are talking about the Upper Danube and the beautiful Ama Magna, and I must share a little secret with you now. I hope my husband is not listening, but actually I have a big dream that we are going to have our wedding anniversary soon. And I would love to renew our wedding vows on board the Ama Magna while we are in Budapest. So I'm really much looking forward to that. I hope it's going to happen very, very soon. And of course, I can't wait to tell you about my favorite port and my home city, which is Budapest. And you know, it's kind of like difficult when someone asks you, which is your favorite port? It's like a question, which is your favorite child, you know? But one thing is sure, I can guarantee that Budapest is deeply in my heart, not because I'm Hungarian, not only because I'm Hungarian, but also because I think all of you have been to Budapest while we are sailing into the capital of Hungary. The view is absolutely magnificent. You see breathtaking things, the beautiful parliament building, the Buda castle is just really something not to be missed and something to be there and see. And I thought I just share some information with you about the Margaret Island, because we are talking about Women's Day, although it's not a very jolly story to tell about the Margaret Island, but actually the island was named after one of the former kings of Hungary, and according
Uh-oh. Not sure if we lost Agnes now,
Might be a glitch.
but we might just then.
And they invaded the country, the Mongols, and of course later Hungary was freed. So therefore Margaret went into the Dominican convent on the island, which at the time was not called Margaret Island, but it was called the Island of Rabbits because of the great, can you hear me?
We can still hear you, Agnes.
Oh, sorry, I just had a little issue with my computer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so they called it the Island of Rabbits because at the time they had a great amount of wild rabbits living on the island. And so Margaret stayed in this Dominican convent since she was 9 years old, and she stayed there until her death, which was the age of 29 years. And so therefore the island was named after her. And Margaret was canonized only centuries after her death. She was canonized in 1943 only. So that's the story of the Margaret Island and why it's called Margaret Island. And you know, the Budapest citizens, they love going on the Margaret Island. Now it's also called the Green Lung of Budapest. And it's got so many things there. For example, you know, in Budapest and in Hungary, there are a great amount of thermal springs can be found. And one of them is located on the Margaret Island, as well as the biggest open air swimming pool in Budapest. And they have a music fountain, they have a rubber coated running track, they have an open air theater on the island, and also a water tower, which was built in the Art Nouveau style. And the other information I would love to share with you is that once we start a cruise or we end the cruise in Budapest, our ships are docked very, very close, actually next to the Margaret Island. So our guests can have a wonderful view at the island, and if they wish to, they have the time, they can also walk to the island because it's in walking distance.
Yeah, I still have great memories about Margaret Island. I think I was 6 years young when I visited Budapest for the first time in my life, and how many times I have come back and always love it and explore something new. But so Joanne, Budapest is also one of your favorite ports. Please tell us what you love about this city. And I see there's the market hall here, so there must be something about the culinary delicacies, right?
Yes, for sure. You know, after listening to Agnes, it makes me just want to be in Budapest. I'm serious. And I want to go to Margaret Island. I've never been there. But the first time, just 2 years ago, was the first time I was in Budapest, and I absolutely loved it, especially the Central Market Hall, which is incredible. We filmed there, and I was in search of paprika and the best paprika. And I was going to go back to the ship to make some chicken paprikash. So we were lucky we found, of course, the best paprika, which was great. But I will never forget the last night that I was on the ship. For that week. It was so incredible on the gorgeous AmaMagna. And yes, Samantha, you're so lucky that you're the godmother of that gorgeous ship. But it was the most romantic night. I was there with my husband on the upper deck, and we were looking out over the river, and there was a string of lights, and that was going along the bridge that connected Buda to Pest. And I knew right then why they call Budapest the Pearl of the Danube. I've heard that before, but that night, it made sense to me. Anyway, it's just such a beautiful city.
And I know, Joanne, while filming on our ships, you have created some unique dishes and drinks for us, such as the famous Danube 75. I think today you have something special that you have dreamed up for all of us here.
I wish I could be with all of you so I could share it with all of you. And I should be making a Danube 75, but I am drinking. This glass You know, I haven't taken enough sips of this because I'm dying to drink this wonderful Gruner Veltliner. But I did make this salad, and it's actually called Salad Christine, because you are such an inspiration for women, and you're such an extraordinary, just a wonderful person. You're kind, you're generous, you're thoughtful. Anyway, so this is about you. First of all, it's sweet, which you are also. But anyway, okay, so I started with some citrus, and I have all different colors. I have some grapefruit, which is the light one. Then I've got some blood oranges, some navel oranges, and these are called Cara oranges, and all of them have different flavors. So they're really wonderful. And then I didn't stop there with citrus. I have some kumquats, and kumquats look like this, right? And they're kind of sweet and tart at the same time. So what I'm doing is just to sprinkle a few of those over the top. I just love all these colors, and I love the flavors of them. And then I have some vinaigrette. This dressing that I made, I used a little bit of honey, and then I have a really nice vinegar in it. I know it's not from Hungary, but it's from Italy, but it's called condimento, and it's a white balsamic. And I put that together with extra virgin olive oil, a little bit of blood orange zest, and then a little bit of salt, and that's it. And then just a touch of honey. So I'm just drizzling that over. So you've kind of got that sweet and salt at the same time. And then I have some beautiful mint that I picked in my garden. Can you see this? Yes, you can. Okay, here, it should be here. And I'm just sprinkling that over the top, but I have a little surprise for Christine because I know she loves flowers. So I foraged for nasturtiums and borage flowers for the top of my salad.
This is so beautiful, Joanne. And oh my God, you make us all hungry, number one. Number two, I cannot wait to come back to our ships to really experience your salad. And even so, it's Women's Day, and I should get pampered by my husband today. I think I will make a salad tonight and also surprise him.
That sounds great. Where's the finished salad?
Wow.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Oh,
thanks everybody.
Looks delicious.
I have blood oranges. I have the grapefruits. I might miss the little ones, but I will get them. Thank you for sharing this with us. And now, Joanne, you shared with us your love about Budapest, but I also know that Bordeaux has a very special place in your heart. What was the highlight of your sailing there with us?
I think you're seeing that photo of my husband and I looking at the lights in Budapest right there. Anyway, I love Bordeaux, and I do have a very soft spot in my heart for Bordeaux. I'm a wine lover, first of all. As you can tell, I've got a glass of wine here with me, but also Bordeaux is such a wine lover's dream. And when I went there for the very first time, I was 24 years old. And the thing that really struck me about Bordeaux was how elegant it was. And then when I was back there with Ama, my perception really never changed. It's such an elegant city and region. But imagine you're on the river cruising, which is so beautiful, and you visit wine towns and ones that are so legendary like Pauillac and Saint-Emilion. And you're visiting incredible wine chateaus that are so beautiful and tasting some of the very best wines in the world. I mean, what's not to love about that? And I do know that, Samantha, you're going to be hosting the AmaTour to Bordeaux this year, a little later this year. And if you've never been, I'm speaking to everyone, if you've never been, it is absolutely a must. And you have incredible food and incredible wine. It's just such a great experience. So.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much, Joanne. And of course, Samantha, we hope that we can all be in Europe in summer, right? At the latest. And that we can join you on your July 29, 2021 cruise, The Taste of Bordeaux. So tell us, Samantha, just a little bit what you are looking forward to in Bordeaux.
Well, first of all, I'm going to call Joanne and I'm going to ask her for all of her tips because obviously I love her passion and going there since she was 24. She knows Bordeaux unlike I know it. And what I'm really most looking forward to, I'm just going to be honest with everyone because it's a group of women. It's going to be the first trip I take without my kids or a film crew. So I'm just gonna have a ball. I don't have to worry about getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, putting on makeup. I don't have to worry about taking care of kids or making sure that they're okay. It's just going to be about me. My husband's joining me, his brother and his wife. I'm going to be an adult in France, and I'm just going to have a blast, and I'm going to drink. So Joanne, I'm going to need I remember all this wine from when I waited on tables in New York City. There were all the wines I couldn't afford, Pauillac, Saint-Emilion. So I'm just going to go for it. So for those of you who are watching and you're going to join me, we are going to have so much fun. And I am going on this cruise unless the United States or France tells me I can't. But it's got to be that.
So much investment, right? Let's see it very positive. And I know there will be such great wines, delicious wines flowing for you, for all our guests on board. And there are also what I always like about Bordeaux is all the markets where we take you, where you can have some bites and little cheeses, little charcuterie and so on, and fantastic fruits and vegetables. Now,
sounds
Cassie,
perfect.
Yes. Yeah. So Cassie, as our guest 14 times, now I have to say, Bordeaux is known for history, for architecture, world famous wine and culinary experiences. But Cassie, you were introduced to international travel through international cuisine. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I sure can. I also was born in the Midwest, just like Margie, and not too many people traveled internationally, but my mother did in spirit. She subscribed to a wonderful magazine called the Gourmet Magazine. And for those of you that know it, you can still find it online. It always had the international cuisine, the wine, and what my passion was, it was set in a place that I had never heard about. And it was always international travel. If it was Alsace, if it was in Germany, if it was in Austria, but I dreamed of going there. And it was through that love of learning and researching, and then getting the opportunity to go early on in my life when I was very young, and it was a solo trip. And I actually made it back to the United States. So a lot of little opportunities along the way, but I did arrive back. So I think it was right then and there that I knew what my passion was, and I pursued a corporate career, but within that corporate career, I also got to move within the United States 14 times. But I was never able to go internationally and work in corporate America. So as soon as I retired from that job, I always took the opportunity, and any little vacation I could do, I would fly international, even if it was for 3 days, 2 days to get there, but 1 day there, it was worth it to me.
Absolutely. This is a beautiful collage of your pictures. And I know your first cruise with us was the Tulip Time cruise starting in Amsterdam. This is the picture with your sister, right?
Yes, this is Mary, my sister that also shared. I had 3 sisters. I have 2 nieces and I have a great niece. And Mary enjoyed traveling as much as I did and actually worked in travel. So she got me onto what was, in my mind, a river cruise, but I envisioned it as like a little barge going down the French canals, and maybe some, wine coming on and some bikes. So when we got to Amsterdam, we did 7 days on our own, and then we saw the AmaSonata, and it was the first time AmaSonata had sailed, and I could not believe it. It was this grand ship, and I was like, "You did good, Mary." But if you have tulip time, you must do it over and over. So I love that picture.
Yeah, and the rest is history, right? And then you started to travel solo. You repeated a few rivers in different directions and in different seasons. So you did the right things, and we got to meet each other in person during our New Year's cruise 19 to 20 on the Amasarena, the sister ship of the Sonata. So, but Cassie, what in your opinion are some of the pleasures of traveling solo? Because I know some people do it, but so many more would love to do it, but need to overcome this kind of not knowing what's going to happen.
I think you said it best in the beginning. Choose the challenge. And you do get outside of your comfort zone. When I travel solo, I have to really prepare more than I would if I'm going with a group of people. But I love that preparation. I actually watched Samantha. I've watched every one of your shows, and I've watched them over and over. And once I've learned about you, Joanne, I looked at the cuisine in a place, and you learn where you want to go. And so there's no mistakes. You have, the total flexibility. And I might always say in a different way, there really are no problems. There's just opportunities. And believe me, I've had a few of those opportunities. But when you travel with Ama, if you've never done this before, that's the way to do it. Seek a great travel advisor. Margie's here, and people who have joined us. They will do that preparation for you. They'll make sure that you get from the airport to where you're supposed to go. And that's what I love, is once I reach the ship for Ama, I may be coming on solo, but it's only for a second. And I see all of the cruise directors and the crew, and they're my family. And you're never alone when you're solo, because I know traveling with all of you and Christine, everyone is watching out for everybody. And so you're never going to be there alone. You may be 6 feet away from each other, but you're not going to be alone.
That is so nicely said, Cassie. And I know, Margie, you have been traveling also quite a bit solo. Why don't you tell us about your solo experiences? And I know you even went to exotic destinations such as Dubai, traveling solo.
Yes, that was probably one of my greatest adventures. I'm like Kathy as well. I think you just have to get past that traveling by yourself ideal, because there's so much adventure out there to be had. And once you get in that frame of mind, then you get out there and the experience becomes so enriching. When I went to Dubai, I remember flying over, and it's, a little bit of a distance by plane, and I'm flying over and I'm thinking, I'm looking around and I'm like, nobody on this plane knows me. And I'm kind of messaging with my daughter, and I asked her, I had Wi-Fi on the plane, so I'm kind of messaging her, and I was like, can you see where I'm at? Because she can see my location. I was like, you can't see where I'm at right now, right? And she's like, no, Mom, we can't see you. But I just remember having such a weird feeling initially. But once I landed and I got there and I got to the hotel and I'm looking around and talking to everybody, it was an amazing time. Just being there for the first time and meeting all of the people that I did. I booked private guides because I knew I had lots of questions about the destination. And I spent a lot of time just having conversations. One of the best parts, I think, about solo travel is it's your trip your way. So as much as you want to see the particular things that you want to do, you don't have to worry about, taking time away from what other people might want to do, because this is your trip and this is how you want to see it and experience it. So if I want to spend the whole day in the spa, it's fine. Nobody's going to complain. It's great. But it was an amazing time, just getting to meet all of the people from the Middle East and kind of understanding the culture and enjoying the cuisine, sitting down with hotel managers and having a glass of tea. It was fabulous. I have no complaints. I love solo travel, and I love going to Dubai.
Absolutely. So now we do offer Dubai as a land extension on our new Secrets of Egypt and the Nile journey. So Margie, I hear that you would really like to travel to Egypt. Could you share with us what intrigues you now about this destination?
Yes, so I have never been to Egypt, and it is one of those places that as a kid, I always wanted to be an archaeologist. I just thought, learning more about ancient history and unearthing some treasures from that time would be wonderful. Now, when I think about going to Egypt, there's so much there. Going through the museums and seeing the pyramids, but understanding and spending time with a historian and an archaeologist to kind of understand what I'm looking at and take that experience in. I just couldn't think of anything even more amazing than getting inside of a pyramid and understanding that history. When I was growing up, I was never really a big history person until you put me smack dab in the middle of it and then talk to me about it. And it seems to come to life, everything changes at that moment. It completely comes to life. So for me, going to Egypt is quite the experience, and it'll be more of a cultural thing for me. I think there is still lots that we haven't discovered there. So it kind of, stokes that bit of exploration that I love when I travel. There's also a couple of things I'd like to explore a little more there. There is, and I'm going to try to say her name correctly, there is Queen Hatshepsut. And she was one of the pharaohs, but she was not the first female pharaoh. She was the third. But what was so interesting about her story, and I'd like to dig into a lot more, is she was one of the first to assume the role with the complete authority that a man would have. So I'd love to dig into her history a bit more and just learn about all of the things that Egypt has yet to tell us.
How true, how well said, Margie. So you definitely have to come. I look so much forward to it because as AmaWaterways, we have been to Egypt, to the Nile, until the revolution broke out. So that is now more than 10 years. So cannot wait to come back, and our maiden voyage will be on September 6th this year. So hopefully we can make this happen.
Yes.
And now the Nile, back to the Rhine. So Cassie, I know you love the Rhine. You have sailed it with us many more times than once. What keeps you coming back to the Rhine?
Well, I think the seasons, if I have to say, it's so magical. When you go in the spring, it's just coming to life. And in this picture that you see, going into the fall, you start seeing the harvest. And when we traveled together was a highlight of all of mine, Christine, getting to meet you and Rudy and that crew for the 2019-2020. Yeah. I got to see Strasbourg through both of your eyes because you gave me recommendations to go to places, La Petite France in Strasbourg. I've been there many, many times, but I didn't know about the special gingerbread to go find, and then a special tea house to go to. But Strasbourg is so magical. That's something that's captured my heart, because if you remember, I read about this place in the Gourmet magazine, and I just keep coming back because there's a cathedral with this wonderful astronomical clock, and there's the university there, and there's markets, and there's beer halls, and you know how I like beer, and it's just a magical, magical place. And the storks, there's the Parliament is there. You could just go on and on, but to see it at Christmas 2019 and go into the new year of 2020, I remember I debated about doing that cruise because I did 4 that year, and I thought, I'm doing this one because I wanted to meet you, Christine. I wanted to meet Rudy, and I've never regretted it because in January, that was a cruise of my life. It was, I saw so much, and I can't thank everybody so much, because then when we did get locked down for a little period of time, I think that's when you say, just don't regret ever doing something. And I look back and I'm so happy that I did it. Exactly. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel the same. It was actually Not my last river cruise. We had afterwards our global summit, but pretty much the one, and wonderful, wonderful, magical memories. And now, of course, I see Cologne coming up here, and I think, Vanessa, this is one of your favorite cities along the Rhine, right? Why is it?
Well, I came from Cologne right about 2 weeks ago, so I have very fresh memories, and slowly the Rhine and Cologne are becoming like a second home to me. So I have to say that when you spend a bit more time somewhere, you start loving the place even more. And I know when we say Cologne, most people instantly think of the beautiful, iconic Gothic cathedral that you see here in the picture. For some, it rings a bell and they think of, oh, the Cologne, because this is actually the place where the original scent came from. And some might even know it as an ancient Roman city dating to 38 BC, and they even have ruins to prove this. So, however, living here, you see what the region has to offer. You see how the people are welcoming you, the natural beauty, and you also learn about some customs that might not be obvious at first sight. So what we know of Cologne, of course, is also the Kosh Beer, the same thing that Kathy has in her glass, I think, today, totally by coincidence. If you can see, it's served in very narrow glasses. It's a beer that is traditional to Cologne. However, it's called Kolsch, but also their dialect is called Kolsch. There is a type of music, Kolsch, that they listen to, Kolsch traditions. So for me, it was very interesting just to learn more about everything. And I was there over the Christmas holidays, spending it with my significant other. And I was caught slightly surprised that suddenly, after the Christmas holidays, we have the carnival season in February. Now, in normal circumstances, what they say in carnival season, there's a gathering outside, there's a parade, there's music, and so on. This year, it was a little bit different, of course. You could see some people walking around dressed up anyway, trying to keep up the spirit of carnival alive. However, what really caught my eye is how an unusual carnival tradition I heard of has really deep roots. One of the things you might see during carnival is women cutting men's ties, and it's very lighthearted and fun to do it today. You have your own collection of ties, and however, it dates to a time when women had no rights, and since medieval times, Carnival Day was a day when anything goes. So this was their one day for the women to voice their discontent without fear of retribution. And the ties came in about 20th century because they were quite expensive. And until today, this has remained a symbol of revoking men's power and seeking equality and dignity. So, and this is absolutely what I love about travel. You can go to one place many times, and there's always something new to learn, to discover, especially when you scratch a little bit more beneath the surface. And Cologne is definitely a very important historical and cultural destination to learn from.
What a wonderful, wonderful story. And that's truly travel. It's all about the different stories and things we don't know and share. And wow, and we keep the Rhine here. This is Rüdesheim, and Samantha is having some wine tastings, I think, with Adolf Stürzel here. So I think, Samantha, is this your favorite port on the Rhine, Rüdesheim? Tell us about this, but also a little bit about the Moselle River, because I know you enjoy this river too.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this picture, this was one of the best days of my life, and one of my favorite port on the Rhine, Rüdesheim. And this is Adolf Stürzel, and his family has been growing grapes along the Rhine for over 400 years. And I believe grapes have been grown along the Rhine far more years than that. So there I am, toasting with him, and he's going through Riesling. And again, I waited on tables, and I had no idea how, sometimes Rieslings are dry, sometimes they're sweet. It's a very confusing wine to me. So it's great to get it right from someone who's been growing it within his family for that many centuries. And right here, you see my crew. This is my shooting crew. And you see these smiles across the board. Now, getting an entire film crew to shoot a picture it's like herding cats. Everyone's got a job to do. They're packing up gear, whatever, but everyone had such a great time. Even my cameramen, my director, my producers were all like, yes, let's take a picture. So you just see that joy We were relaxed. We all had wine. It's a gorgeous view and we loved it. But we're on the Rhine. But I will say the Moselle was definitely a favorite of our crew. And we took the 10-day cruise and we only shot on 7 days. So we gave the crew the 2 days we were in the Moselle off. So clearly that was their favorite part of that cruise. But what I love about the Moselle, and I say this a lot in my travel tips, is that when you want to go off the beaten path and really experience something a lot more authentic, go to those main thoroughfares, those like the Champs-Élysées and the Las Ramblas of the world, but just go 1 or 2 streets over. And that's where you're going to find where the locals are. And the same was true for the Rhine. Of course, the Rhine is a main thoroughfare, a water thoroughfare, but just off to the left, depending on which way you're going towards Amsterdam or away from it, you will find the Moselle with these tiny little villages to explore, and just so relaxing. Here I am with my kids, and we just had such a great time on the Moselle. And at night, oh my goodness, at night you go up onto the top deck and you drink wine underneath the stars as you're going past little castles and little steeples as you're moving towards the next port. And it's just absolute magic. So just a few little stops along the way that really make a huge impression.
Yeah, definitely the Moselle, the steepest vineyards in the world. And I hope your kids enjoyed the fresh grape juice, right? The non-alcoholic one.
Yes.
Well, we all know it's no secret that the travel industry was hit very hard by COVID-19 and the international travel restrictions. Small businesses have been impacted, and our industry is predominantly female. Margie, can you share your thoughts on how we can support the travel advisor community the best way possible?
Absolutely. So you're absolutely right that COVID has really put a strain on the travel industry. But we're excited to hear the buzz that's out there for travel as it's starting to return. And that couldn't be more exciting to us. As travel advisors, the best thing about working with a travel advisor is their level of expertise. We can do amazing things, even in this fluid situation of changing regulations from country to country and city to city in some cases. Travel advisors stay on top of all of that. And we're monitoring it to make sure that you can have your trip. So the best thing you can do to support a travel advisor is to book with them. Book your upcoming vacations, book your trips with them, and look to them for the expertise to know what to do in port, where to go based on your interest and what you're going to enjoy. They're experts in the field. It's what we do, and it's what we love, creating amazing experiences for clients. So absolutely, book your upcoming vacations with travel advisors and don't cancel them. If regulations change, just move the date because the experience is amazing and you don't want to miss it. So work with a travel advisor to create that for you.
Absolutely. I mean, in this jungle today, one country can be very different from the other one in Europe, even though they are all part of the European Union, right? So yes, it is important. This knowledge is so special. But one thing about river cruising, we are cruising the national waters, and that is important. So we are always close to those beautiful cities and villages, can always dock there. It is small, it's intimate, and as AmaWaterways, we are preparing actually to start cruising again. If still the travel ban exists for our North American guests, then maybe we will be first with our German-speaking guests again. But one thing also, what this pandemic has taught us is patience and tolerance. If maybe some plans need to be switched or a little bit changed, we still have the opportunity to show you some other different beautiful places that you might not have seen, and they are along the river, but not necessarily the area that was on schedule. So now the time is actually running here. That's always when you have fun. And I know in the beginning of our hour, we announced the challenge to write in the comments about a woman in your life who sparked your passion for travel. And we received so many beautiful comments, and would like to announce the winner now. And I know it was actually hard to say this is this one winner. So we have two. So the first one comes from Robin Christian. My grandmother, Virginia, ignited my passion for travel. Although she was the granddaughter of a slave, she was raised to appreciate that she could be more, have more, and see more. She raised 10 children to excel past the limitations that were implied. She took road trips by bus and car, train trips, and ultimately flight around the US and Canada. She was undeterred by stereotypes or stigmas. I was often blessed to travel with her. Consequently, today, there are no limits to where I will go. I have been fortunate to visit 46 US states and 45 countries on 5 continents. Travel is always on my mind. I'm having goosebumps right now. Thank you so much, Robin Christian. And our little gift will go out to you from our office tomorrow. And we have another one, which I also would like to share with you. And this comes from Gudrun West. We could not choose, so let me just get started again. Gudrun is a travel advisor. She lived in Paris during her youth, and every June since age 12, her mother would put her on the Orient Express, where she would have to go herself from Paris to Salzburg, so she could spend the summer in the beautiful Austrian Alps with the grandparents. She met so many wonderful people on the train that she knew she wanted to do something in travel when she grew up. Back in the day, she wanted to be a stewardess for Lufthansa. However, her eyesight prevented her from getting the job. Glasses not allowed, that was before the contact lens. The passion never left Gudrun, so upon approaching retirement, she decided to go to travel school while still working in education. She worked in a travel agency part-time for 5 years, and upon retirement, she became an independent contractor with a specialty in Europe. So she has been doing travel now for 21 years, and she loves every minute. Travel is truly her addiction, and she loves sharing her travel excitement with her guests. Nothing makes Gudrun happier than when her guests return and are bubbling over with excitement from all the travel. So thank you all. I know there were so many more, but Gudrun and Robin, so you will receive your little gift from us. Thank you again. And I know our time is over, but there are 2 questions which we might still want to answer. So the first one is, where can we sail to on Samantha Brown's ship, the AmaMagna? What countries or what rivers can we visit when sailing on the AmaMagna? Now, I can answer this. The AmaMagna, as the double white ship, is cruising the Danube. It can only cruise the Danube because the locks on the upper and the lower Danube are wide enough for this ship. The ship cannot cruise in France or on the Rhine River or on the other rivers. So if you, like so many others, would like to spend more time now traveling, then I would recommend our Grand Danube cruise, where you start in Germany, the city or port of Wilshofen. So you fly to Munich, Or you fly to Prague if you wanted to even do a 3-night Prague land program in the Czech Republic. Then we transfer you over to the AMA Magna in Wilshofen. Then we go all the way from Germany through Austria, through Slovakia, into Hungary, finish after 1 week in Budapest. And then comes the second week going from Budapest to Southern Hungary, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Bulgaria, and finish up in Bulgaria. Or you can just decide to do 1 week on the lower Danube and 1 week on the upper Danube. So, and then we have a second question here. And I think I can probably ask any one of our panelists. So 1 second. From all your travels around the world, what has been your most memorable trip? So in the interest of time, who wants to speak about this from our panelists? So we have one answer. You are way too modest. Let's raise the hand.
Who wants to take
Joanne?
it? I'll talk. That's such a hard question for me because I have taught and I have traveled all over the world from the time I was 6 years old. I'm obsessed with travel. And so for me, it's where I am at the moment. So I don't know if that answers the question, but for me, anywhere I am, especially these days, I seriously will travel anywhere. I'm ready to go. And I'm sure so many people are as well.
Yeah, and I agree with this because it's not just about the places where you go, it's about the people that you meet along the places as well, and the food that you taste there, right?
And the food, of course, yes. One thing I wanted to say about the Egypt trip was, and Margie, that was great. You were talking and I was waiting for you to say that you couldn't wait to have the food because I was ready to jump in and say, because food, of course, for me is the thing that I love the most. I love people.
Now, of course, and the wine as well, as we say, right? And that brings me to our final toast. Now, some of you might know that I hold dearly many quotes by Maya Angelou. One of her quotes expresses how I'm feeling after our celebration today. I am grateful to be a woman. I must have done something great in another life. And I'm also grateful to all the strong, passionate, and curious women that are in our life. So here's a toast to us all and to you, all our travel advisors, our clients, our loyal guests, our future guests. So let's support each other as we choose the challenge to bring about the necessary change for a more inclusive future. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. To all of you. And with this, we need to actually, we don't want to, but we need to conclude our special sip and sail. If you still want to stay on for a couple of minutes, we have a beautiful Heart of the River video. I don't know if it's ready. If not, I let you know the story continues. We just wait for the moment when the travel ban gets lifted and we can put our ships into motion again. You know, all our crew members, our cruise managers, they are all from the local areas and countries we are cruising through. We don't need to fly them all in. They are waiting, they are ready. So really, within a very, very quick time, we are able to move our ships again and look forward to welcoming you all on board again, no matter if it's in the countries in Europe, Germany, France, Portugal, or in Africa with Egypt, and of course the beautiful Chobe and Zambezi River. and as well in Asia, having the Amadara on the Mekong River in Vietnam and Cambodia. And there are more rivers in this world where right now, where we have to pause, take a look. Now, I cannot say more, but with AmaWaterways, there will be more rivers to explore in the near future. So thank you again for spending your time with us. And again, happy International Women's Day. And thank you to all our panelists for joining us today, for spending time with us and AmaWaterways. All the best. We look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Happy International Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.
All the best.
International Women's Day, everyone.
Absolutely. And here is the love. Bye-bye.
Step aboard a world of exceptional experiences, where your journey is our passion. Allow us to share villages that time forgot. Walk along cobblestone streets filled with the lights. Paddle through historic town squares and revel in moments that last a lifetime. When you step aboard AmaWaterways, each day brings a genuine smile that warms the heart. Every river a new culture that inspires. And each course a moment to savor and share. Experience these wonders and delights with AmaWaterways, the heart of the river.